seersucker suit on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region today. It's July, we got through the 4th, that's a good thing. Today's July the 7th, and we're so happy to be here today and bringing such great guests to you. And you're going to learn about lots of things today. We're going to be talking about adoption, especially of a little kitty. So you've got to really watch that. It might just tug at your heart a little bit. And then we're going to be hearing from the Will Kempe players, and that's all about Shakespeare. We're going to find out about what they're doing and where they're doing it. And then we'll be talking with a guest. She's a storyteller. She'll be telling us a story about Georgia O'Keeffe, and we're going to learn about the story circle at Proctors, and also a number of other things that are coming up. We're also going to be talking with the Schenectady Historical Society, and they're going to be talking about yoga, of all things yoga. Now, what does Historical Society and yoga have to do? We're going to find out. And then we're going to be talking about a wonderful organization called Circles of Mercy. They do so much in our community. They're located out in Rensselaer County, and they're amazing what they do, especially with taxes and helping people in Catherine's Closet. There's just so many things, and we're going to learn all about that. But I do want to share with you my little unicorn. And my unicorn was given to me by a guest last week because he said I needed a stress releaser. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how my stress is going to get released, but I'm working on that one. There's my unicorn. Okay, we're going to start right out with Brittany Blonde, and you're brand new at the Animal Protective Foundation here over on 53 Maple Avenue. And who do you have with you?
I have Tommy with me today.
Tommy?
Tommy,
Oh,
yes.
And Tommy's looking up at you.
Hi. Yes, he is about 2 months old, we think.
Where's his mommy?
They were brought to us as strays. So that's how
So he came in without his mommy.
He came in without his mommy, but he came in with 2 brothers and a sister.
So somebody had kittens and just dumped them off on you. But they're going to find home.
Absolutely.
Poor
yes.
mommy. Well, I think about it as the poor mom.
I know.
She's looking for her kitten somewhere.
I would hope so.
Yeah, no, they are. They do that, yeah. So Tommy's looking for a home.
Tommy is looking for a home.
And what kind of a home do you think Tommy should go to?
So Tommy is a little bit of a quieter kitten. He does like to play, but, you know, not super hard.
Well, he's shy.
He's a little shy, yes.
He's only 2 months old.
Exactly, yes. But of the 4 of them that came in, he's probably
The quietest?
the quietest. So, but he is so gentle.
He's long-haired, beautiful
Long-haired,
cat.
beautiful. He's got a beautiful little face.
And we
long
can rename
whiskers.
him because, you know, at 2 months old, he might not remember his name is Tommy.
I don't think he will. He could use a new name, huh? Yeah.
Alert, very alert.
Very alert. He's happy to be here today.
Yeah. So how many, what is your population, I guess should say? Are there more cats, more dogs? Do you have guinea pigs? Do you have tarantulas? What do you have there?
Sure. So we do, we have cats, we have dogs, we have kittens. We get puppies every once in a while. But we have a lot of kittens this year. Kitten season is hitting us hard. So lots of kittens, lots of cats. Dogs, a few here and there, not as many as normal. With the pandemic, we saw less
Well,
animals
people
come
wanted
through.
to keep they
Yeah.
needed their dogs. What is going to happen with the dogs when people go back to work?
So we are seeing like a small influx right now, but I think we're still in the lower end. So that's, you know, what we're trying to do at APF is keep dogs in the home and all of that.
Well, I wasn't thinking so much of that. I was just thinking about the mental
yes, I
issues
know.
with cats and dogs once their human companions have gone off to work and they're going, where are they?
I noticed it with my cats.
Do you?
I'm back at the office and they're like, where are you going? You used to stay here and sit with me on the couch all day and do your work.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how their mental health is also
Yeah,
affected by
and it's
this.
something I never would have thought about because, you know, I remember, you know, getting animals from you. My dog, my black lab I got from you, and it was like he just did not want us to leave, you know. It was like, you know, because one was working at home and one was out. So it was like, no, not both of you.
No, exactly.
Yeah. But so we'll deal with that, of course. Now, what does it take And I know you work with funds and you
Yes.
try and make sure you get plenty of money, so we'll discuss that as well. But right now, I want to know, if someone decides, I love Tommy, and I want to adopt Tommy,
Yeah.
or Tommy's gone, so we'll look at something else, or what if they really want a dog?
Sure.
I mean, you can put him down if you
He's
want to,
okay.
but keep him as long as
He's
you
okay.
Um,
So you can check our website for available pets.
Okay, so you have pictures up there.
Yep, pictures are up, and right when they become available, they go right up on the website, so that's the best way to check for them. And then you can make an appointment to come into the shelter. We are open to the public, but we
But
do.
a little caution.
Yeah, we do. We would appreciate appointments being
sure.
made. But yeah, that's the best way to do it, is check the website, see who's available.
And do you vet the owners, the new owners?
Of course we do, yes.
So tell me how that goes.
So if, we have a certain cat or a dog that doesn't get along with, say, children, other pets, things like that, we, make sure that the owners are aware of that and that they don't have any of those in their home. And
Okay.
our vet techs are great at those kinds of things.
And when you get like a dog, for instance, or a cat, we'll say dog, we'll still with dogs, they have their shots, is that correct?
Yes, yep, and they are all spayed or neutered as well before they.
So
leave the
they're not going to
shelter.
procreate and create more influx in your place?
Absolutely.
At least
yes.
those won't?
Yes, these ones, the community pets, we're working on as well, but we can only do.
Exactly.
As much as
Now,
they
is there a
brought in.
cost to adopt?
There is a cost
Because,
to
I mean,
adopt,
if you're going to inoculate them, and then you're going to spay or neuter them, then there's a cost involved with that. And
There
I know
is.
you have a spay and neuter clinic,
We
which
do.
you don't have to adopt the animal there
Correct,
to
yes.
do that. Okay.
Yeah, so there is a cost to adopt. It's different for cats, first dogs, first kittens, first puppies. So all of those prices are on our website on the adoption page. And then we do, like you said, have the spay and neuter clinic for anyone in the community that does need that. It's a
Any animal in the community?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Yes. Any,
Just want to clarify
yes,
that.
Any animal that needs to be spayed or neutered. And we do have subsidized support for that as well. So if you are unable to afford it, we can offer assistance.
Do
as
you have
well.
like rabies clinics or not?
So we have in the past with COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah, well, I mean, we
yeah.
understand that's different. I mean,
It'll,
that's a
it'll
whole other
happen
di-
again. We'll get
Yeah.
there. We aren't quite there yet, but hopefully this fall we'll set something up to do another wellness clinic in Schenectady County.
Good. So how are you raising money now that you're into the funds? And what is your background that brings you to that seat?
Yeah, so I started out my fundraising career right here in Schenectady. I was over at Sunnyview.
Oh, you were over Sunnyview.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I started there, and then I moved over to APF to do events there. So I do a lot of the events, not this year, but virtual things, which was an exciting change of pace.
I hope that you do your dog walks again and many of the
definitely
other
will.
things at Central Park. Those were always such fun to go to, is the dog walk. But you've done other things. I know that you haven't done this in a long time, but I gotta say, I loved your jewelry, when you do your jewelry sales.
We will actually be hosting a jewelry sale coming
Won-
up very soon.
Wonderful.
On July 18th.
Oh, and here
So-
I didn't even know that.
Yes, just today.
Our
we
minds
decided.
must have been working there.
Yes, so July 18th will be our jewelry sale, starting at 10 o'clock.
And are you still looking for donations?
Absolutely, always looking for jewelry donations.
Okay, good. And how do they get them to you?
You can drop them right off at the front desk
Okay.
at APF at 53 Maple Ave.
Yeah, oh, that's great. So at least we know that the jewelry will be going. I must say this, I'll tell you a quick story. I bought a necklace at your sale. This was a few years back, and I wore it on the show. So I get an email from a woman who said, I saw the necklace that you wore. And I'm going, oh no, she wants it back. It was stolen. I'm going, what am I going to have? And she says, my mother passed away, and we donated her jewelry there, and I'm so glad it found a good home.
That's amazing. I love that.
Isn't
I love
that
that she recognized it.
Well, it was big, and it was mother of pearl, and it was the head of a lion.
Oh, yes.
So it was very
recognizable,
unique.
Yes.
It was a unique piece. It touched my heart that someone thought enough to let me know that her mother's jewelry found a home.
I love that.
Wasn't that sweet?
That is
But that's
sweet.
because of you guys.
Yes.
So it's not just me, it's you. You did
Thank you
it.
for sharing that story. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It was such a touching email that I got. It was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah,
that
I'm
was-
going to pass that on to our jewelry volunteers
Yeah.
because they love to hear stories like
But
that.
that's a true story. But that was a long time ago because, you know, you haven't had a jewelry sale in a long time. So, and last time they even took broken jewelry because they can sell that to people who are making jewelry.
Yes, we can take broken pieces and we can sell it back if it's, you know, gold or silver.
Well,
or
no,
things
no,
like
I was
that.
just thinking just beads and things.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
A lot of people are looking for just beads to use.
Sure, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
see why not.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was good. But now you have a population of, look at that guy just ready to go to sleep. I'm just hanging here, baby. I'm just hanging.
Enjoying it.
Oh, and there's the eyes. They're going down. Oh, no. Well, anyway. So this is going to be a wonderful lap cat.
Definitely.
Or arm cat, however you want to put it. And it looks very attentive, so I think Tommy's going to find a home pretty quick.
I think he will.
Yeah, I think so too. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and you have a new director, and we hope that we get her, Allison, right?
Austin.
Austin, I knew that was an A, I'm sorry. And we'll get her on the show to talk about
Definitely.
some of the things that she's doing as well. And it's a pleasure to meet you,
Very nice to meet you.
Beverly, Brittany. Look, too many names here. So anyway, thank you for being here, and we're going to switch right over here to talk up to Sandra about Will Kemp's Players, and we're talking Shakespeare.
We certainly are.
And how did you get involved with Shakespeare?
Oh my goodness, it's too long a story for here and now, but suffice it to say that at 10 years old, I considered myself uncultured because I hadn't read Shakespeare. So my mother...
At 10 years
at 10.
old?
So my mother...
And that's a tough read.
My mother handed me A Midsummer Night's Dream in a red leather-bound volume, which I promptly dumped into the bathtub. But I read Midsummer at 10, and that was the beginning of this.
Wasn't that something? And did you, I'm sure that you've seen the movie with Mickey.
Yes.
I mean, wasn't that, and they had such stars in that film. It was like, but it was so good.
Well, yeah, but Shakespeare's so good.
I know, I know.
He really is.
He's got humor, and he's got pathos, and he's got tragedy, and he does it all.
And he blends it all into the same play, sometimes into the same scene and the same character, just like life.
Yeah.
Just like life.
Yeah, so was there really a Shakespeare?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, for sure.
Are you sure somebody else wasn't his ghostwriter?
No. Well, to be honest,
And
I-
you actually brought another guest with you.
I sure
so,
did.
So we want to say hi to you, too.
Hi there.
This is Shay Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
who is one of our actor collaborative members and a costumer, as I
Okay,
am.
you do costume.
We both do, yes.
Yeah, oh, good. Okay, so we're getting back to Shakespeare. So he's a real person.
He was a real person. We know that for
Yeah,
sure.
I
We
know.
have his, I mean, his
I
his
knew that,
parents'
but I
home.
just kind of-
Did he write those plays? I think absolutely yes. The simple reason is that anybody who starts working with those texts realizes that his internal knowledge of the theater was so profound.
It was.
That some nobleman who had seen a couple of plays, even more than a couple
You
of
could-
plays,
you couldn't write in the same- yeah.
could not manipulate the theatricality of the play or the shorthand that's actually in the texts that actors can pick up on to use and create the characters. That's why. Shakespeare was an actor first. These are actors' plays. They're written for actors to manipulate.
So
there-
that's why.
Yeah, because there were no directors, none at all.
I love Shakespeare. One of the things I find that I have to be able to see those footnotes, because a lot of the words I do not understand how they were used or what they had, what meaning they had at that time.
You know,
Or maybe it's just me, but
the words were never meant to be read. They were meant to be read on the page as a remembrance, or perhaps in order to have a copy of Shakespeare's text, but they were written for the ear. And almost every one of the things that are footnotes that are place names or references to a battle or a Greek
yeah, well,
god,
that's
sort of
that's
stuff.
something else.
Yeah, but the words themselves come clean in the speaking.
So that's where I get a little bit confused when I'm reading it.
Trick. which my mother told me at 10 with the bathtub and the red leather bound volume. Read it out. If you don't understand it, read it out loud.
Read it out loud. Oh,
Read it
that's what I
so
do.
you can hear it in your ear.
so that's a really good trick.
I think you'll get greater nuance with good notes, and then perhaps going to the OED as well, the Oxford English
I
Dictionary.
always, I have the footnotes. I got the footnote. I got to have the footnotes. I got to figure out. Oh, wait. And it is Old English. So let's face it. I mean, it's a different. You don't think so?
It's modern English. It's early modern English.
Okay.
Chaucer is a chore,
Yeah, I know.
but it's still readable.
Yeah.
Shakespeare, if you read it out loud, because that's what was meant. You were meant to hear
Because
it.
it was a play.
It was a play.
Yeah. What is your favorite? I'm going to ask you each. What is your favorite Shakespeare play?
Antony and Cleopatra and Measure for Measure.
Okay, you like both of them. And you?
Oh, wow, that's such a
There's so
really
many of
tough
them.
question. I mean, I think in terms of comedies, I'm a big fan of Midsummer Night's Dream, and one of the ones we're doing this summer, Much Ado About Nothing, is one of
Yeah.
my favorites. So, I mean, there's so much to choose from, honestly. The selection is vast, and there's so much incredible thematic content to just
I
be
know. I
poured
mean,
over.
I love the Kate one. You know, that to me is the most delightful.
Taming of the Shrew?
The Taming of the Shrew.
It's a
It
fun
is,
one.
to me, every time I read that, I have to laugh because there's so much fun in it, you know, in what he's doing and how that whole thing, and it gives us a snapshot of what life might have been during that time as well. But you've got 2 productions coming up, so let's talk about those 2 productions.
Well, maybe I will pass it to Shay, because Much Ado About Nothing opens one day before As You Like It. So maybe Shay can tell you about Much Ado for
Oh,
Nothing,
all right.
because they are very different productions.
They are, definitely. So let's talk about that, Shay. Okay, and first of all, where is this going to be produced? Because you're kind of traveling a little bit,
Yes,
aren't you?
we're a touring company. We use the original practices technique, which is one of the things that we do is we try to replicate a production of Shakespeare that Shakespeare himself might recognize.
So this is all men, right?
No, that is one thing. That is one thing that we definitely bring up to the
Okay,
contemporary era.
just checking.
Our take on that kind of casting is that really anyone can play
Yeah,
anyone.
of course.
So I mean,
I'm just teasing because
absolutely.
because that
It
was
is. I mean, that was what was traditional.
Yeah.
But now we can do things like last performance season, we had a woman playing a male Hamlet.
Okay.
So you can really all kinds of flexibility
Yeah.
there. But so one of the components of original practices is touring, the same way that Shakespeare's company of players might have toured. And it's this idea that you have a show that is really simple enough to just pick up and put down anywhere that you want to.
so you do minimal sets.
Yes, we have some tents, we have some pipe and drape, we set it all up in, different arrangements based on what the production needs
Right.
are. But, we can just come to a park and do a show.
Mm-hmm.
And, it opens up accessibility, it allows people to come and see it that, may not have otherwise seen it.
Yeah.
It's something that I really cherish a lot. And as an actor, you get a different experience every time you're in a new place. You get to try new things, mess
If you're
with
at a
the
park or
blocking.
whether you're on a stage
Exactly,
inside, it's like it's
exactly.
going to be different.
It's night and day, and there's just so much there. But so yes, we're the first 3 weekends we are in Prospect Park in Troy, New York.
Okay.
We decided to stay put for a couple
Are
weekends.
you, are
this
you
year.
is there a charge for that?
Donation only, but free to the public.
Okay.
So if you want to donate, if you want us to come and support us, feel free to toss us some change. But we're happy to perform for you.
You don't
all
have to
free,
pay
yes.
royalties on any of this.
No. Shakespeare has been out of royalties
but
for a long,
but I
long
know
time.
a number of theater groups get they get slammed hard when they pay the royalties.
Well,
so
if
you're
it's something
good.
is contemporary,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it's still under rights and all that. But yeah, we're in the clear for that. It's one of the fortunate things about doing
Okay, so you're
Shakespeare.
doing, and it's going to be free,
Yes.
except you would like donations to cover. I mean, costumes are not easy. I mean, you got to buy thread. Everything's expensive when you do it. Ribbon and whatever.
Sadie
bustles.
and I know that well.
I
with our
don't know where
trips to
bustles
the
come in,
fabric
but they
stores. Yes. But yeah, so Much Ado About Nothing. It is a pretty hilarious romantic comedy. There's at least 3 different plots going on. It tackles a lot of different things, relationships between the genders, similarly to some of the ways that Taming of the Shrew does. It tackles public shaming, which is a big thing. misogyny. There's so much thematic content in there that
You
is
wonder
so
what was
up to
going
date.
on in his brain?
Right? It's so fascinating. I don't want to, sum up the whole play because we would.
Yeah,
be
we
here
don't
a
want any
little
giveaways
while.
here because this-
exactly, no spoilers. But it's a
For
lot of fun.
Shakespeare, right?
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
And this is going to be, I have the 10th through August?
Yes.
So you're
So
gonna be
each
doing-
weekend we are doing both shows in repertory. So one will happen on one weekend day, and the next will happen on the next weekend day.
Okay.
We switch them up each weekend, which is Saturday and which is Sunday, just to make sure everyone
you
can
give
come see,
an
exactly can come
opportunity.
see as much as they
Okay,
want. But
so
yeah.
you're actually doing Much Ado About Nothing, and you're doing As You Like It?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you like it?
I love it. I love it. It's kind of fun because Much Ado is being done in a near contemporary set of costumes.
Oh, yes.
And is done.
yeah,
I
that's-
forgot to remember.
that's
I forgot
fun.
to. Yes, this is the first show that we've ever done not set in the Elizabethan era.
It's like they did with the movies with Romeo and Juliet, and they did them in contemporary and
Yes.
stuff. Well, why not? Let's have some fun.
So we're
So-
in the 1990s. Yeah.
Well, we're in the 1590s. As you
Let's
like it.
see, 1590s. What was I doing then?
I was probably making clothes for Will.
I'm sure.
We're setting it in a then contemporary style, in the original practices style, but with an original practices visual. As You Like It is another play about gender and about love and about reconciliation, but it's set in a magical forest of Arden, Garden of Eden. The allusion is very clear. So we're going a little more toward a fair, I don't want to say Ren Fair and I don't want to say fairy tale, but you know what I mean. I want
It's
to.
not a Midsummer Night's Dream.
It is more a Midsummer Night's
Oh, it is
Dream
more
in,
than-
in a mythical landscape.
Okay.
A place, a mythical place where we can go, in this case, for reconciliation, for restoration, and for resurrection of the human soul.
Yeah.
So the more mythical, the more pretty, I guess, is the word I want to use here to make that all happen. It is headed up by a character named Rosalind, and Rosalind is the longest part that was written for a female character in the Shakespeare canon.
Right.
It is the
Played by a
Hamlet.
male.
It was at that point played by a young man, and in the course of the play, the young man then plays a woman who decides to be a man who impersonates a woman.
So many layers.
Yeah, let's think about that.
But it
There's a
really-
movie, Victoria. Remember
Victor,
that one?
Victoria,
Yeah,
yep,
same,
yep.
same thing, that she was a woman playing a man playing a woman.
Yes, actually.
But it really talks about it really gets at what is the difference between a man and a woman when they're in love
Yeah.
and when they care about each other. And can we reconcile that old problem between men and women?
Right.
Between brothers, between siblings, between the stage and the academy. It is a play about reconciliation and the possibility, but not but not a guarantee of going forward in peace and love.
Yeah, this is great. Shay, I want to thank you so much for
Oh,
being
of
here
course.
today
Yeah,
because
thank
you
you.
obviously are very enthusiastic about what you're doing.
It's honestly, this has been one of my life streams to work in a company like this, so it makes me happy all the time.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
And Sandy, I know that you've been involved with this for a while, and do you need any more actors? Are you looking for actors?
We're set for this season, or at least I hope we are. In the spring or late winter, we will probably put out
a
a
call
call
out. Okay.
for auditions for new actors and perhaps for other kinds of talent.
Well,
It's-
staging and costumes and
What-
everything else.
Whatever it is. And let me remind everybody that the touring schedule is complicated, and it goes from Hubbard Hall to Malta. It is accurate on our website.
But you're bringing Shakespeare to the people,
Absolutely.
and that's where Shakespeare wanted it.
That Shakespeare was intended for a play-going public that went from apprentices and bound servants to the Queen of England
I know. Well,
at
keep
the
up
same time.
Keep up the good work, Sandy.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it's such a pleasure to meet you again and see you here, and to find out what you're doing to bring Shakespeare to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so
Good.
much.
We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about storytelling. Well, I guess sort of it's the same theme, right? Shakespeare was telling a story, and you're a storyteller as well. Kate Dudding is with us. Been on the show before, and she always brings a great story with her to give us an illustration. But this one, you're going to be going up to Lake George to be giving it for a women's group. Is that it?
Yes, Weowaka Center for Women has existed for over 100 years as a retreat for women. It was originally started to give factory workers, women factory workers in Troy's businesses
Really?
a place to go.
I had no idea. Well,
Yes.
thank you for that.
And
That's
the-
a story right there.
The spot was chosen so that they could walk from the train station in Lake George to Weowaka, which is on the eastern shore.
So it's
Just
walkable.
Yes, well.
Well, for
to
then,
that- Yes,
for then.
yes. So it's a beautiful site, and they offer many programs during the day and during the evenings. They have a speaker series on Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
And they have an overnight that you can
Yes,
stay
oh
there.
yes,
too.
there are a number of buildings on
They're
site.
kind of
Oh,
rustic, but they're, are they? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't call them rustic. They're old, like there's couple of Victorian ones and then some
Okay.
more modern ones. But usually the bedrooms are several people in their own bed.
Okay.
And there's a bathroom down the hall with multiple sinks and toilets and
Okay, yeah,
showers.
okay. So it's arranged
It's
so
not
that
air conditioned, but there are fans.
Yeah, good. You're going to focus on Georgia O'Keeffe. And why
Yes.
did you choose this beautiful artist? I mean, she's amazing. And we all know her art. I mean, it's just so characteristic of her.
Well, about 10 years ago, there was an exhibit at the Clark Art Institute in Williamstown, Massachusetts, of her work and Arthur Dove's, who was a contemporary of hers. And I loved the paintings, but I hated the commentary. It was all about what the critics thought. And some of the critics were referring to Freud.
Oh,
And-
I know, that whole thing, yeah.
Yes.
We all know that.
Yes,
You know.
and
It's
so
like,
I'm-
don't you just accept it for what it is, you know?
So I wanted to know what she thought. I didn't want to know what the critics thought. So I went searching, and there's this wonderful book. It's a big, coffee table,
Yeah.
well, coffee table sized book, written in her 80s. And when each 2 pages, one is a picture, a reproduction of her picture, and one is her commentary on it.
Oh,
Her
so
own
you're
words.
getting her own words.
So I'll be telling 2 stories, and the first one will be Georgia O'Keeffe in her own words.
Okay.
So it'll be, I'm not really impersonating her, but I am using her own words to describe her art.
Okay, is it going to be associated with the photo that you're?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so
it-
let's bring up the photo maybe.
Yes, so I'll give you a little snippet from that story.
Okay, would that be this one right here?
The
Okay.
red poppies, yes.
Okay, what, the red one?
Yes, yes. So, in this book, she said, I'll tell you how I happened to make the blown up flowers. In the 1920s in New York City, huge buildings were going up. At that time, I saw a painting by Fantin Latour, a still life of flowers. I thought they were very beautiful. But I realized that if I painted flowers that small, no one would look at them because I was unknown. So I decided to paint them huge, like the buildings that were going up. That way, even busy New Yorkers would stop and see what I see in flowers. So what I've done is, because of the pandemic and my dance lessons being canceled, I became a street walker.
Okay.
Walking the streets of my neighborhood. And I started taking photos of my neighbor's flowers.
Okay, and that's what the other photo is, that
yes,
one?
that's a lily in Ginny Wink's front yard.
Okay, beautiful.
And I'm taking close-ups because I want people to see what Georgia O'Keeffe and I see
what
in the
a clever
flowers.
idea.
And so you can see the freckles and how the shading changes on the petals as they go towards the throat of the
Yeah.
flower. And there were raindrops left over from the previous
Or
night.
dewdrops or whatever,
Yes,
yeah.
on the petals.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting that Georgia O'Keeffe, how she came about doing those.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the average person knows that.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably more familiar with the Freudian aspect of
Right,
it, which
right.
I've always questioned that, actually.
Freud, Do you know that Freud had a young stepmother?
Oh, wait a minute, Oedipus? Well,
Yeah,
there we go, the Oedipus.
Freud had his own hang-ups and I mean, some of the things.
And sometimes a
are
cigar is
valid.
only a cigar, right?
Yes. So, but we're not talking about Freud, we're talking
No.
about Georgia. So the second story is my visit to Georgia's home in Abiquiu.
And that's the other photo that
That's
you
the other photo, that she had 2 homes in New Mexico. The first one was Ghost Ranch, which is farther away from Santa Fe than the second one. The first one, she really wanted to plant a garden. She loved food, she loved cooking, but she couldn't, the soil was not suitable for a garden. So she went looking for another place, and she found it 10 miles closer to Santa Fe. You see, she could go to Santa Fe and to a farmer's market, but by the time she drove back in the 30s, it was like a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
They were all wilted in the New Mexican
They weren't
heat.
fresh, yeah.
So she desperately wanted her own garden, and she took her 10 years to negotiate to buy this house in Abiquiu.
Okay, now, the picture that we had there of her,
She's sitting inside the house.
yeah, I think it's the next one, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yes.
that one, and that's the
Yes.
one that we're looking
There's,
at. yeah.
I have a story about that particular hallway because I took a tour. I took an hour
you
and a
were
half
actually were there.
tour. And the tour guy said, so I had seen those photographs before I was there. And so when we got there, I went, I'm here, I'm there.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And his story there was, one day there was a man who was knocking on that doorway. It was closed. And when the housekeeper opened the door, he said, I want to see Georgia O'Keeffe. And she's not seeing anyone today. And the door was closed. Well, he kept on banging. So finally, the door opened. It was Georgia O'Keeffe. She glared at him. She turned around. She said, now you've seen me. She slammed the door, locked it, and walked away.
That's a great story.
So after that, she decided, and this house, it's lovely, it's on top of a hill, but the road is just down at the bottom of the hill. So she tended to spend winter and spring in that home, and then spent the other months slightly north at the Ghost Ranch home, because it was much harder to find. And that's
Okay.
when there were
Oh,
more
that's right.
tourists.
Yeah.
But she loved the garden so much, and she loved, there was the mountain she loved most, the Pernal Mountain, she could see right out her living room window at Ghost Ranch. So she would frequently make short trips to the other houses so she could see everything that she loved.
So she, in a way, what you're telling me is that she was well compensated for her art,
Yes.
because she could not have owned places like
Right.
that or been, selective like that.
Right.
Had she been destitute artist. She didn't have to die to be an
No.
art.
Luckily, her husband was a very well-known photographer.
Oh, okay.
And owned a very influential
So
art
she had
gallery.
a
And
family.
so he supported her, and I mean much more than in just the monetary sense. He staged a show of hers every year in his gallery.
Okay,
And so she became famous with his help.
yeah. Well, she's unique. She's not just doing landscape. She's a
Oh.
unique artist.
Right, and there's some fascinating, there's her a series of paintings in New Mexico, but when she lived in New York, she did one picture, and that was at the Clark, of buildings going up, and then in the very top,
Oh,
there's a little bitty moon, and I felt that way in New York City. Minuscule, but if it's just right, it lines up and you can see the sun.
Right.
So she did many things. She was very,
Amazing woman.
I don't want to say, she knew her own mind and was happy to share it.
Yeah, and she could.
Yes.
And she could. Now, you're also associated with the Story Circle at Proctors.
Yes.
Are you going to be doing anything coming up, or?
Well, we had a
just
virtual
starting?
season last year. That
Yeah.
was our 14th season, almost at Proctors. And I think in the fall, we'll go on with a virtual season. Will be the second Sunday of the month.
Okay. Well, you'll get the
think 3 to
information,
5,
and
but
we'll,
the second
we'll
s-
be
yes.
sure to get you on in the fall when that all
But
starts.
no, we didn't, the pandemic did not
Didn't
stop
slow up
us.
storytellers.
And we had a very good turnout.
Yeah, you have some great storytellers. I always enjoy
Yes.
listening to some of the stories, and what I really enjoy is the difference in the storytellers. They aren't all the same. They're all they have a different style, and it's so.
And different kinds of stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I do tell some
You have a
folks
theme, but, yeah.
tales, I do tell some personal stories, but mostly I tell stories of real people who made a difference.
Yeah, I know. I love your stories.
Right.
But I want to thank you so much for
Oh,
being
my
here and have a
pleasure.
wonderful time up in Lake George
Yes.
and stay cool.
Oh, you too.
Good. Thanks, Kate. Always good to have you on the show. And we're going to switch right over to the Historical Society, and you can do some yoga for me?
Well, I don't know if I'd be the best person, but we've got the best person
And,
for the
and that's
job.
Marty, or was it?
Mandee.
Mandee.
Mandee. So she's going to be our instructor at the Mabee Farm Historic Site, which, as you're familiar with, it's a very bucolic spot right on the Mohawk River. Beautiful sunsets out there, and you know.
And we had a great photo. I don't know who took that photo, but it was a great photo that you sent, that someone sent me anyway, that showed the river in the yoga.
Oh, yep. And so that's kind of what we
There it is.
imagined.
There's the photo.
Oh,
it may
yeah,
not be taken on our river, but
That's not our river. That's a little bit bigger than the Mohawk
Yeah,
is, but
yeah.
it does capture the essence
Yeah.
of what we're trying to get at with this program. And basically, what that is the Mabee Farm is a historic site, but it's also a very beautiful natural spot as well. And we just want this to be a place of rejuvenation and wellness for people as well, in addition to all of its historic qualities.
Well, and and we're talking with Mike Diana, and I'll tell you, I have to give you a big shout out because I've been to your tours, and they are
thank you.
just, you are one of the most, you have so much background on the community, and you're able to tell the stories that are enchanting and get us involved in what's going on. So I hope you'll be doing that as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yoga, of course, is one thing that we're particularly excited for this summer. But
And and that's going to go on for all summer, right?
Oh yeah, every Wednesday through the summer.
And there is a charge, just so people know there is a charge.
Yes, for non-members, for the general public, it's $10 a session. For members of the Historical Society, you can come, and your membership covers that. So
Okay.
keep that in mind. If you would like to become
Oh,
a
good,
member,
I'm a member. I can do
oh, there you go. And if you're not a member, this might be the golden opportunity, the excuse you need to sign up. And
Yeah.
just $25 will cover you for the whole year. So it pretty quickly
Yeah.
pays for itself.
So, what made you think about? And I know that you're the educator there. And Mary, I'm not ignoring you. Mary Zawecki here. She's the executive director. What made you guys, I guess I should say, think about doing yoga? Because that's kind of and not only that, but you got animals there. What's going on? I mean, you're like branching. Would that be the right? Not a pun, right? Branching out. But anyways, but whatever you're doing.
It was all Mike's idea.
Oh, I thank you.
Hibernating for a year perhaps brought out the creativity.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been feeling like a stiffness in my lower back. So really, this is all just a long con for me to get
yoga
free
classes.
yoga
Free yoga
classes.
classes. Is that it? Oh, now I know it. But what brought the animals on?
That's a great question.
Well, we've always had animals.
We've always had
Yeah, I know.
animals, but
Just two.
we brought on a lot more this year. So sadly, one of our sheep passed away on Easter. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
on Easter?
know,
I mean, of all
yeah.
times
Yeah,
when you have lamb for
Our
Easter.
big sheep, yeah.
It was
But
sad.
this is a sheep, not a lamb. So.
Yeah, it was before she was 8 years
an
old.
old woman, yeah.
Yeah.
And we recognized that we needed to get a companion for our goat. And then we said, well, what's better than one companion? How about 4?
So you got 4 goats?
We
Well,
got
it's
2
funny.
goats and 2 lambs.
Once you start, it's very hard to stop.
You
can
can't
find-
stop, especially if you get male and female goats. You never know.
Well,
But
no, we
anyway.
were careful about that.
Yeah, okay, you're careful. The reason I had to laugh a little bit is because I got the image of the yoga and then the goats, and I remember the goat yoga.
We
Yep.
are gonna try it, maybe.
Maybe. We're going to work our way up to that, you know. Goat yoga, I understand, is a completely different discipline, and it requires highly trained goats. And if you've met our new goats, I wouldn't call them trained by any stretch of the imagination.
No, you don't want
They're
them
very
jumping on your
cute.
back, huh?
No, probably not. It'll be cute for the first 5 seconds, and then it would become less cute.
Well, and I did have people on that did goat yoga, so that was kind of an interesting. It's like she says, "So do you mind getting on the floor and we'll get?" I go, "No, I don't think so. Not that I wouldn't do it, but as a host, it was kind of like awkward. How was I going to be interviewing with a goat on my back?"
Well, maybe next time we should bring one of our goats on the show.
Oh,
You're welcome to do that. I love
that's
goats.
ambitious, Mary. All
I
right, I'll
love
let you
goats.
figure-
My cousin owned goats, and the door was open and the goat would go in, sit behind the wood stove, and then go back out again. I said, do you care? He said, no, they're fine. So anyway, so you've got the yoga, which of course we're promoting today, and I think it's a good way because we've been cramped up and, haven't been out. We've been kind of worried about, but you're going to be outside with this yoga.
Yes, weather permitting, we'll want to be outside. We do have the
barn.
In case of inclement weather, we can go inside the barn and take shelter, so a light sprinkle isn't going to stop us. But yeah, that's really kind of the point, is just to kind of commune with nature, commune with our own bodies, and just feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, so have you done yoga before, Mike?
I've done a couple of times. I wouldn't describe myself as a yogi or yoga master, whatever
Yogi.
that is.
No, yeah,
I don't know.
well, let me think
It's not a
about
bear, anyway. Nevertheless, the few times I have done it, I felt really good, and it makes me wonder why I don't do it more.
Yeah.
So
Is it like Tai Chi, sort of? Or no?
Tai Chi, I'd hesitate to make a comparison. I mean, it's all about, careful, measured movements through your body,
Oh, okay.
stretching.
Yeah, I've never done yoga. That's why
And I've never done Tai Chi, so,
Oh,
it's,
well, I've done Tai Chi.
we should
Let's
trade
get together.
trade notes sometime, yeah.
So it's always good. And are you going to be taking those yoga classes?
I definitely will be
Okay,
taking those yoga
good.
classes.
So what else do you have coming up? And I know you're going to be on again to talk about some of the other things that are coming
Yeah,
up.
we do. We have a lot of stuff happening.
You have lectures and you have the exhibitions at the Education Center. You have an amazing space there.
Thank you.
Are you going to have any festivals and music
We're
concerts?
doing all of that. Everything is back. Our Howlin' at the Moon is back. That's once a month, and it's free this year. So great bluegrass bands. Mike's doing a ton of walking tours. He's doing
Oh, yeah.
bike tours. We're
I
doing
love the
kayak
walking tours, yeah.
We have the festivals, like you said. Just everything is just back, and we are just so excited. We have probably a program every week, at least.
Several programs every
Yeah,
week.
exactly.
You are such a treasure in our community because, most of the time you think a historical society, blow off the dust off the books, right?
There's a little bit of that.
Well, I know.
We can be pretty dusty
No,
sometimes.
but I know you have a library and everything. But I think people think in terms of kind of like, a picture on the wall and a vase over here, and nothing very interesting. But the Schenectady Historical Society has grabbed on to Schenectady and made a space for yourself
Oh,
because you have got besides your museum. In your library, you've got the Mabee farm, which is one of the oldest. How old?
Old.
1705,
Yeah,
so I guess if I
know, I'm
do the
trying
math,
to do the math.
316 years old,
Yeah.
give or take.
That's why we went into history, not mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Good. So you have and you haven't always owned the Mabee farm. That came later on, I think, when that happened. But the fact that you have something really historical there, not that you're building the stockade isn't historical because it is, but you've created energy. And I love that energy to
Yeah.
associate it because history is energy, but
Oh, absolutely.
we always think of it as being back
No.
there.
And that's something that we try to bring to every single
Yeah.
event we do is this idea that
Yeah.
it's all connected and part of the present and alive,
Oh yeah, and really, that's what it is. History is a conversation that people are having in the present. It's not a set of dry facts that are
No.
carved in stone somewhere, and you go to the history stone and you read them. No, that's not what it's about. It's about having conversations with the past, having conversations with the present, how the one leads to the other, and eventually how we look into the
We've
future.
created history.
Oh, absolutely.
We still
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We still are.
Well, Mary, I want to thank you so much for being here
for
today
having me.
and we're going to see you again, I'm sure,
We'll be
or
back.
whoever. Yeah, we'd love to have you come back. And Mike, I think we're going to probably eventually talk about some of your tours, your walking tours.
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
doing kayaking too?
Oh, yeah. So we've been doing the kayaks for a couple of years now. This year we have kayaks leaving out of the Mohawk Harbor Complex, and in Waterford, there's another kayak launch there. And this is new for this year, that we're doing the kayak tours in Waterford. Technically, that's not in Schenectady County, but,
Oh, it doesn't make any difference. And I've said this before with other guests, that we are a community, and
Oh,
we need to, and the name of the show is Capital Region Today.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with the Capital Region. We're not just islands unto ourselves with Scotia being here and Schenectady being there and Troy being there and Rensselaer being there. I mean, we are all one.
And certainly the history would bear that out. You know, you can see it quite clearly. So,
Exactly.
So we're doing those kayak tours in Waterford, and I'm personally very excited for those because if you've never been to Waterford, it's a really cool historic little
Well,
town.
would you believe that I believe it's next week or the week after, I'm having the Waterford Museum on.
No kidding. All
So
right,
we're going to
wow.
be talking about the Waterford Museum and the locks there, so.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, you know, I just reach out all over the place.
You know everyone.
Well, I don't know if I know everyone, but anyway, I do know you, and that's the important one.
Yeah, I am the most important one to know.
Mike, thank you so much for being here, and I
Thank you for
look
having me.
forward to some of your tours, and the yoga class sounds really interesting, and I hope your back gets better.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it
Okay,
will.
good. We're going to switch over to Rensselaer now. We're talking with Richard Zizeki, and he's the executive director of Circles of Mercy, which is the Sisters of Mercy originated that, but we're going to find out what are they doing. And I wonder how he handled all the taxes this year. Hey, what's going on, Richard?
Ann, it's great to be back.
Yeah,
Thanks
good
for
to
the
see you.
invitation. Good
Yeah.
to see you. Greetings and salutations from the sisters.
Oh, good.
And
I
the
need a little
associates,
bit.
yeah, and the associates and our board of trustees and all the volunteers that make things happen.
What'd you
at
do with
Circles.
taxes this year?
Well, taxes we did amazingly well. It was a
Because I know you head up the whole,
well, I used
well,
to.
kind of the
yeah,
kit and
I
caboodle.
used to. I gave that up. We've got 3 partners. Your dear friend Joanne passed away.
Yeah, I love Joanne.
Joanne does our mobile outreach. We have a partner in Troy, Colleen Goldston, who's
Okay.
a police officer up in
Well,
Troy.
she's new, though. I don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
that name.
she's been there. She runs the Troy Vita program,
Okay.
and then we have us down in Rensselaer.
Well, I mean, we'll catch up next year because
Yeah.
this past year was a little different.
Yeah, so we got a grant through the Prosperity Now Partnership out of Washington. We did a special outreach to the disabled community. So we did, combined through the 3 partners, we did almost 700 returns, which is pretty respectable.
Well, considering,
Yeah,
this-
given the fact that it was all virtual,
everything's virtual.
okay, which meant that people called, we arranged a time for them to stop by, to drop off their tax documentation
And leave.
and leave. Then I would have to find a volunteer to do the return, so that got passed on. And then from that volunteer, they passed it on to someone else to do the quality review. Once the quality review was done, it then came back to me, printed off the return, made arrangements with the tax client to come back and review it and sign off. So
Well,
when-
that's different because I was at, I stopped by the one at Union, when the Union
Right.
College did it. And you walked in, you got checked in, you went, they did it, bang, bam, 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 and then it was sent.
Yeah.
That
you were
within
at
an
45
hour, everything,
minutes,
yeah.
less than an hour. This process, unfortunately, because of
Well, you had to
COVID,
transfer.
it took about 2 weeks.
I believe
Yeah,
that.
so we did respectively
For
well.
700 is a lot.
Oh, yeah, and we're talking about combined tax refunds and credits of over $1 million. So that's, you
Money
know,
coming back.
back to the community, people pay their bills with it, hopefully they save some. So, I mean, that was our contribution during COVID with regards to the tax program.
Right.
We try to stay, current with what the needs were in the community. As you know, our mission, we have a tradition of providing hope, hospitality, and empowerment.
I think you brought some,
Yeah,
yeah,
to
you
the-
got that
to
up
the-
there
to the
now.
Rensselaer
Good. Thank
community.
you, Jan.
Yeah, we got a 23-year history. We incorporate the Mercy Charism, preferential option of the poor, life of generous service, concern for women and children, hospitality, justice, compassion, trusting in the providence of God, which I sometimes have trouble with. And then the critical concerns that the sisters have with regards to the earth, immigration, nonviolence, racism, and women.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we've seen more of that in the
Oh, sure.
past few years,
And then-
that it's come out. I mean, it may have always been there, but it's raised its ugly face.
Oh, sure, and it's been unfortunate, and I think things got exacerbated during the shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the pandemic. So what we try to do is provide those linkages to services. Even though we couldn't do the face-to-face, we tried to do all of our various programs through a curbside access.
Oh, okay.
I told you about the virtual VITA tax program. If somebody needed clothing out of the thrift store, they called, emailed, faxed, whatever, hit us on Facebook, and then, you know,
You handle that.
We'd handle that.
It's the safest way possible.
Yes, we would have our volunteers pull the items out of the thrift store and then leave them on the front porch for the clients to pick up. We still did the clothing grants, we still did layette sets.
How'd you do computer training? You couldn't
Well,
do
we
that
did.
very easily.
Yeah,
you
that
couldn't
was
do
kind
that.
of on
I know
hold.
that you do that, but
Yeah,
you couldn't do
that
it.
was kind of on hold. There were virtual programs that were made available, so we would plug people into those kind of programs. And then we're going to start picking that up this summer by providing the face-to-face, one-on-one computer training.
Are you looking for volunteers?
Always. As an executive director of a nonprofit, one of my primary jobs is volunteer recruitment and retention. So we're always looking for volunteers.
Retention is a big thing.
And that is. So it's always that sharing of your time and talent and treasure. We have volunteers in the thrift store. We're looking for volunteers all the time to help with tax returns, mentors for our women clients. The other thing I wanted to talk to you today about is the fact that we've been unable for last year and this year to do our fundraising events.
Because you have done fundraising in the past.
Always. We do about 3 events a year. We do a signature event this time of the year, June. We do a Walk for Mercy in the spring. And then we do a Irish Night celebration in October.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
And that's a lot of fun. So what we're doing this year is we've done a solicitation mailing out to all
That's what
of our-
everybody's been doing,
yeah,
you
all
know.
of our
Please help
donors.
us, one of
Yeah,
those.
please help us. Please take time to visit the website if you're not on our mailing list. We've also have a secure PayPal link for donations or mail those checks to us at the office. It's always a challenge. Not only
Everybody's challenged with this, especially with the pandemic, although I found, talking to a number of groups, that people have been very generous.
remarkably and shockingly,
Yeah,
where I thought, you know, here's a letter that we did last year that, you know, did quite well and helped sustain us, as did the support that we received, the generous support from the Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah.
So it's something that we always are thankful for. Again, if anybody's interested in any of those items, they can visit the website, circlesofmercy.org. They can drop me an email, same as the name of the organization, Circles of Mercy at NICAP.rr.com, or pick up the phone and give Uncle Richard a call,
Uncle Richard.
518-462-0899.
Now, if someone wants to donate clothing for, I mean, sometimes, you know, your kids get bigger and they got these clothes there, and you go, well, I'll just dump them in one of these dumpsters, or not dumpsters, but, you know, those
Yeah.
boxes that they do. Would it be better kind of to drop it off personally to a place that you know is going to get recycled and not just boxed up and sent to some foreign land?
Believe it or not, all through the shutdown and the pandemic, we continuously received calls from donors that wanted to drop off clothing. So we encourage that, as long as it's gently used and clean.
Yeah, you don't want, you know,
Yeah, as long as it's gently used and clean. We had a schedule, and they would just ring the doorbell, drop off the bag, hi, thank you, and move on their way, and then we would take care of processing the donation. So that's always the best thing to do. You don't want to see that stuff get caught up in the landfill. And I'm not.
I read recently that clothing is one of the biggest issues in landfills. That we have created, the fashion industry has created more trash.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you can redo, recycle, donate, always think about when you have an item like that, can someone else use it? If it's trash, I guess cut it up and use it as a rag in your
Yeah,
own home.
you could do
Don't
that.
use those paper towels.
Yeah, what we do is we have a process where It's donated, and it gets shredded and then reprocessed into insulation.
Oh, okay, so it's
Okay.
being used,
So, yeah.
not
it's-
into the landfill,
no,
so it's better to
it's in-
donate.
You know, the insulation is used in RVs, vehicles. I'm trying to think of what else it's used in. RVs, vehicles, I lost it.
Well, yeah, probably anything that needs
Yeah,
filling,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
filled. And maybe things like, even like making cushions that aren't going to be used for any, you know, personal use
So
or
yes,
something like.
we always encourage the donation of clothing.
Absolutely. And you were mentioning you had the thing on, you did pretty well on the VITA program.
Yes, we did, surprisingly well, given the challenges of the pandemic. You know, I think doing returns in the number of just about 700 is respectable.
Well, considering it takes 2 weeks to do one, I think that, I mean, it's not linear,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's
And one of the smaller numbers I didn't mention to you, but down there are the total number of volunteers that helped us this year were 38, and they donated almost 2,800 hours of volunteer time.
38 people,
2,800 hours,
Wow.
yeah.
And that's free.
Free and sitting there, plugging in those numbers to the software, and then
Yeah.
getting the
Well, I
returns
mean,
done.
it just shows that there are dedicated people out there. There are good people in our community. There really are, whether they donate their time to Circles of Mercy or to the Animal Protective Foundation or to theater or wherever.
Right.
People, you know, if you're sitting home and saying, oh, there's nothing to do and oh, blah, 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 and blah, there's a lot of places that you can enrich your life.
Right, give us a call.
By donating your time. You really enrich your life. I mean, I've done this show 23 years. I'm donating my time to do this show. I don't get paid for this. But it enriches my life because I meet people who I see are doing much more than I'm doing, and they're making our community a better community.
But the part that helps us, Ann, is the fact that you allow us the
Platform.
the connection to make to the community, to tell them about our needs and our desires and our programs and services. That's what's important. And as a nonprofit director, this is such a valuable, no-cost
Yeah.
public relations operation to be able to take advantage of.
And I thank Proctors for that because they've
Yes.
been very good about that. I want to thank you for being here, but I'm going to tell you who's coming up next week. We have the Capital Pride Singers. We're going to find out about what they're doing, where they're performing. We're going to talk about the Holocaust essay contest. Mr. Michaels, or Dr. Michaels, comes on every year to talk about that. We're going to talk about MOPCO, talk about improvisation. I love improvisation. I guess I do that every week. And then the Schenectady Historical Society will be on again. They're going to be talking a little bit more about some of their other programs. And we are delighted to have the Schenectady City Historian on as well. So we got a great lineup. We hope that you'll join us next week and every other week because we do enjoy. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel called Capital Region Today Official. And you're able to see all of these shows right there on TV. And watch for me on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, and wherever I can be found, I'm there for you. So keep in touch with me, and I'll be in touch with you. Thanks for watching.